Welcome to Unit 5, Day 3, Perimeter, Area, Circumference. After this lecture, you'll be able to complete all of your homework. In this lecture, we're going to learn how to calculate perimeter, area, and circumference of basic geometric shapes. We're going to talk about rectangles, squares, triangles, parallelograms, trapezoids, and circles. Before we get too far, I just want to review a couple concepts. Perimeter. Now, perimeter is the total distance around the shape. Now, of course, for all of these, the formulas are going to vary depending on the shape. But for perimeter, I just think add all the sides up. And the way to think about perimeter is as if you're putting a fence around your yard. Area is the amount of space inside a shape. Think of it as mowing the lawn. Now, circumference is the distance around a circle. This is basically the perimeter of a circle, but we call it circumference. How do we solve the problems? Well, first we need to identify the shape. Select the appropriate formula, write down the given measurements, substitute the values and calculate, and include correct units. So if it's inches, feet, meters, and so on. Now, a simple way to remember units. If we're talking about a length, like the perimeter, we just used a standard unit like meters, centimeters, or inches. If we're talking about an area, we're talking about square units, like meters squared, centimeters squared, or inches squared. Volume, which we'll talk about in the next lecture, is always cubic units, like meters cubed, centimeters cubed, or inches cubed. Before we start solving, make sure that you've downloaded or printed this geometric formula sheet. Don't freak out that it says middle school. Everybody uses the same formulas. Now let's get started. Find the value of x of the given figure, whose perimeter is given as p equals 20. Perimeter means we're just going to add all the sides up. So we'll take x plus x plus x plus x equals 20. And now we'll use some algebra. When we add the x's together, we have 4x equals 20. Divide by 4, and it turns out that x is 5. That's it. Let's look at the next one. Use the appropriate formulas to find the perimeter and the area of the figure. Let's talk about this triangle for a second. Now, this is not a right triangle, so you might need to draw an imaginary line, altitude or height, that drops perpendicular, a right angle, to the base. For obtuse triangles like this one, the height may fall outside the triangle, requiring you to extend the base. For any figure we look at, except for the circle, when we want to find the height or the altitude, it's always going to be 90 degrees. Here is our triangle, and here is our height. It's a 90 degrees straight up. For the first one, we want to find the perimeter. To find the perimeter, we just add all the sides of the triangle. We'll take 7.8 plus 6 plus 4.1. That gives us 17.9. Remember, we need to label the units meters. So the perimeter is 17.9 and the units is meters. For area, area equals 1/2 base times height. That means we'll have 1/2 times 6, the base. I think of the base as the bottom, so that's 6 meters. And the height, remember, that's the 90 degrees. That's 4. That means we'll have 1/2 times 24, which gives us 12. We'll have 12, and what's the units? Meters squared. I want you to try this one by yourself. Pause the video, do it, and then press play for us to work it together. All right, let's see how you did. Use the appropriate formulas to find A, the perimeter, and B, the area. Perimeter, we just add all the sides up. 6.7 plus 5 plus 3.1, and that gives us 14.8 meters. And the area, well, the area is 1/2 base times height. So that's 1/2 times 5 times 3. The base is 5, the height is 3. And that ends up being 7.5 meters squared. Find the circumference and area of the circle. Use the pi key for this one. Now in your homework, it'll just say, find the circumference and area of the circle. If it doesn't tell you to use pi equals 3.14, you don't want to do that. Sorry about this messed up circle here. I just wanted to make it bigger for us. First of all, let's find the circumference. The circumference is pi times d, d is the diameter, or 2 times pi times r, the radius. It depends on what they give us in the figure. When we look at our picture, it's the radius of 8. So we're going to use c equals 2 pi r. Now, all we need to do is put 8 in for r. Grab your calculator and let's do 2 times pi times 8. That's going to give you 50.2654. Now let's go back to the question. It says, for both of them actually, type an integer or decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth as needed. Hundredth is 2 decimal places. So that means we're going to have 50.27. The circumference is 50.27, and since circumference is like perimeter, it's just going to be inches. Now let's look at the area. Area is pi r squared. Once again, all we do is substitute 8 inches, our radius, in for r. That's the same thing as 64 pi, because 8 squared is 64. But since they want an integer or a decimal, we're going to take 64 times pi on our calculator. That gives us 201.0619, rounded to 2 decimal places, and we end up with 201.06. And what is that? That's inches squared, because it's an area. Determine the area and the perimeter of the quadrilateral. You try saying that, quadrilateral. Note that the figure is not drawn to scale. This is actually a parallelogram. And I know it's a parallelogram because the top and the bottom lines are parallel and the 2 sides are parallel. You're going to notice that we have 90 degrees right in the center. That means 5 is our height. They ask us to find the area first, so let's do that. Area equals base times height. Our base is 19 and our height, the 90 degrees, is 5. That means our area is 95. And of course, since we're talking about area, it's inches squared. Now let's find the perimeter. Remember, the perimeter, we just add all the sides up. Now the other 2 sides aren't listed, but hopefully you can see that we have 8 plus 19. The side straight across here is 8 inches, and the side straight across here is 19 inches. That gives us 54. And what is our unit? Well, since we're looking for the perimeter, it's just inches. Let's look at another one. This is actually called a trapezoid. Now it does look like a parallelogram, except for there's one difference. The 2 sides here are not parallel. The top and bottom are, but the sides aren't. So that makes a trapezoid. Use the appropriate formulas to find A, the perimeter, and B, the area of the figure. For A, we have to find the perimeter. Remember, we just add all the sides up. 3 plus 2.7 plus 5 plus 2. And that gives us 12.7. Since we're talking perimeter, that's centimeters. Now let's look at the area. This formula is kind of interesting. We have B sub 1 and B sub 2. All that means B sub 1 is the top base, that's what they call it, and B sub 2 is this base. So what's that going to look like? Well, the top base is 3, the bottom base is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, times 2 is 16, 1/2 times 16 is 8. Now we're talking area, so that has to be centimeters squared. Nancy has just purchased a new house that is in need of new flooring. Use the measurements given on the floor plan to the right to answer the following questions. The cost of ceramic tile is $11.49 per square foot. The price includes the cost of installation. Determine the cost for Nancy to have ceramic tile installed in the kitchen and in both bathrooms. Now let's look at our picture. Here is a bathroom, here is a kitchen, and here's our bathroom. First, let's figure out the area of each of those. Now the area of the kitchen is 14 times 14, which is 196. The area of bathroom 1 is 6 times 11. I'm calling this one bathroom 1. That gives us 66. And the area of bathroom 2, I'm calling this bathroom 2, is 6 times 14, which is 84. Now first, we have to add the areas up, and that gives us 346 feet squared. The cost of the ceramic tile is $11.49 per square foot. That means we're going to take 346 times 11.49. And what's Nancy going to pay? $3,975.54. Here's one for you to try. Pause the video, find the answer, and then press play to check. Let's see how you did. Nancy has just purchased a new house that is in need of new flooring. Use the measurements given on the floor plans to the right to answer the following question. The cost of carpeting is $8.99 per square foot. This price includes the cost of installation. Determine the cost for Nancy to have this carpeting installed in all 3 bedrooms. Bedroom, bedroom, bedroom. Let's find the area of each. Let's find the area of bedroom 1. That's the top one. That's 9 times 21, which is 189. The area of bedroom 2 is the one right underneath it. That's going to be 10 times 15, which is 150. And now, finally, the area of bedroom 3. And that's 10 times 15 again, which is 150. We need to add the areas up. 189 plus 150 plus 150 is 489 feet squared. Since the carpet is costing $8.99 per square foot, we take 489 times $8.99. The cost for installing the carpet in all 3 bedrooms is $4,396.11. That's actually the end of our lecture, but I did want to talk about one more thing. Not in the next lecture. The next lecture we're going to be talking about volume. But on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the 6 trigonometric functions. Figure 1, the right triangle with angle theta. This is theta, and we like to use Greek letters for our angles, especially when we're doing trig functions. I'm telling you that this is a 90-degree triangle, even though we don't have a square sitting here. Let's look to the right. You've probably heard of sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent before. These are just simple ratios based on our triangle. So the sine of theta is the opposite of the hypotenuse. Now remember, for a right triangle, straight across from our 90 degrees is the hypotenuse. Since theta is what we're looking at, across from theta is the opposite, or we could say the opposite from theta. And then adjacent, that means right next door. If I want to find the sine of theta, I would take the opposite, whatever number that is, over the hypotenuse, whatever number that is. Now we're going to follow the same, except each ratio is a little different. Cosine of theta, we're still talking this angle, that's adjacent over hypotenuse. The tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. The cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. Now let's stop for a second. Do you notice that's the reciprocal of the sine? The sine is opposite over hypotenuse, while the cosecant is the hypotenuse over the opposite. The secant is the reciprocal of the cosine. The secant of theta is the hypotenuse over the adjacent. And finally, the cotangent is the reciprocal of the tangent, adjacent over opposite. You get to use your notes for the test, but there's one helpful way that everybody learns the trig functions. It's called SO SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. And then tangent, opposite over adjacent. You don't need to memorize these. Once again, you can use your notes or just memorize SOHCAHTOA. We are going to talk about this more in depth on Wednesday, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up so you'll kind of remember what I talked about. All right, I'll see you Monday, everybody. Have a great weekend.